Just wanted to make a quick video of a vintage Rolex Submariner 5513. It's kind of a bit of a guide for perhaps novice collectors. It's certainly not exhaustive, it's not for experts. It's really just for people that are thinking of perhaps buying one of these watches, things that you should sort of look out for. You need to do a lot of research, obviously, if you're looking at buying one of these, but I hope to be able to give you sort of some pointers if you're looking at buying one for the first time. So this particular watch is actually from 1978. It was recently serviced. I'll just show you the guarantee card. You can see the serial number there, 5,679,000, obscuring part of it, of course. So basically the watch itself dates from around 1978. So you need to know that because there are lots of different dial variations. Now this dial is correct for this particular watch. It has you can see the Submariner writing, which is above the depth. So basically, you've got Submariner written above there, you've got the depth at the bottom, feet first. So it's going to focus here. There we go. You've got the feet, then meters. That's one of the ways to tell. On the earlier models, you'd have Submariner written underneath. On some of the earlier models, you'd have meters first. So a few different variations there. So yeah, this is a correct dial. It's also referred to as a Maxi Dial for this particular watch from this period, and that's because the actual hour plots sit on the minute indexes. They basically join with them, so it's a Maxi Dial version, correct. Another important thing is the hands. This has correct tritium hands as well for this particular watch. They have gone slightly darker than the dial, but often these have been replaced at service by Rolex, and they'll be what's a material called luminova, and they will glow in the dark. So this has the correct hands, correct dial. Another thing that's quite important is you need to check the dial condition. Now this dial is very, very good. There's no marks, no chips, no scratches on it. Just focus on that. Quite often in the past, these watches will have been through sort of several watchmakers' hands, and they may have mishandled them over the years. You know, they may have been a bit clumsy with them, and you'll get surface marks basically on the actual dial itself. So that's something you want to look out for. Often as well, you can sometimes get chipping and cracking around the edges where it's basically pinned against the watch case, where it's mounted. That sometimes cracks and flakes away. Generally, the older they are, the poorer the condition. But of course, depends on how the watch has been used and how it's been looked after over the years. So dial condition really important. Really important to have matching hands as well, which this particular watch has. Another thing to look for, which is really desirable, is this bezel insert, this black piece here. This is correct for the year. It's what's referred to as a fat font, quite simply because the actual numbers and the hashes are fatter than later service replacements. They're much thinner and they don't look as nice. They just don't match the sort of style of the watch as much. So very often that's something that's been changed at service, because these can pick up scratches and knocks if they're bashed around. And this is sort of a 40-year-old watch now, so it's quite often that's been changed. So original dial in good condition, original hands very important, original bezel insert is important as well. It's not the end of the world, but they're changing for a lot of money on the second-hand market, so try and get one if you can in the first place with the watch. So that's kind of the starting point. 3 really important things. Also very important is case condition. Now if we look at this case, you can see the chamfers. It has been polished before in the past by Rolex. You can see the chamfer there between the polished and the brushed part, of the case. And you need to check all of them, because sometimes the watch may have been knocked in one particular place and been over polished. So this is all very nice. It's not perfect. It's not unpolished, but it's still in very good condition. So that's really important. Another thing that can help you is to make sure that the spring bars are sitting below the case itself. If they're protruding from the case or sticking out, that's an obvious sign of over polishing. This is in very good condition. Quite often as well, they've been badly polished and there is no chamfer left there. It's almost just rounded off where somebody's put it on a buffing wheel to polish it. So ideally you want it to look something like this, if not unpolished is probably more desirable to a lot of collectors. So this is still in very good condition. This doesn't have its original bracelet of manufacture. This is a later bracelet. It's a reference 93150. One of the easy ways to tell with some of these bracelets is on this actual clasp here. This doesn't have a follow through on earlier ones. It's actually brushed all the way across. That's one way to tell just on immediate inspection. Also, you've got the numbers though on the inside, 93150, and then you've got the end piece number there, which is 580. So this is all correct, but again, a later replacement. Doesn't bother me. I like to have a bracelet in nice condition. This hasn't got hardly any stretch to it. If you tip a watch on its side, you can kind of have a look and assess how good the bracelet is. Of course, this isn't an old bracelet, so it's in good condition. Earlier bracelets on this particular model would be potentially, there'd be a 9315. There are folded versions as well where the links are not solid. Finding them in good condition is not so easy because over the years they may have been worn a lot, but nice to have if you can find it. So this is an original Rolex bracelet again, but just not from the year of manufacture. What else do we want to look at? Yeah, very important. You need to basically remove the bracelet to look underneath the lugs, or in between the lugs. You can see the actual the year of the watch, which is really important. That's obviously how you're going to work out its condition, or certainly not its condition, but actually work out the year of manufacture, work out if the dial is correct. There are lots of variations over the years, and you ideally want a correct dial for the year. I tell you what a really good resource is. There's a dealer in San Francisco called HQ Milton. They have all of their sold, or most of their sold watches still listed online. You can go and look through all of the stuff and all of the prior years of particular reference numbers. It's a really good resource if you want to kind of get used to the different types of dials for different years of this watch. There's other resources. Just Google them and you can find them and kind of educate yourself if you're looking to buy one. So serial number needs to be intact as well, not rubbed off, not obscured, because these watches may have changed hands in the past, they may have been stolen. So you really need to make sure that ideally that the serial number is intact and hasn't been rubbed away, sometimes by bracelet wear as well. So just to kind of recap, really, dial, condition really important. Well, it's condition really. Dial's important. Must be clean, ideally not re-lumed, from the correct year, matching hands, bezel insert is correct for the watch and the year, case condition is really, really important. Make sure again the serial numbers are intact and are correct, and yeah, these watches are getting harder and harder to find in good original condition. If they are in good original condition, prices are getting higher and higher. They're just getting more and more scarce on the market. And I think due to the sort of simplicity and the classic style of this particular watch, I think over the long term they will get more and more expensive as there are a limited number of them in the market. This particular style with the matte dial was only made up until the kind of like around the mid-80s, before it was replaced with the later dial, a gloss dial version. So yeah, limited supply, increasing demand. They will, I think, continue to be a very popular watch just because of their classic style. Again, I hope you find this. Well, I hope you find this interesting. Again, it's not exhaustive. It's not for the experts out there. This is really just a kind of a guide for the novice collector who's thinking of buying one for the first time. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed.